The sun had just begun to rise over the small, dusty town of Ridgeview, painting the empty streets gold. Inside a quiet roadside diner on the edge of the highway, a young waitress named Clara moved carefully between tables, balancing trays of steaming coffee and plates of pancakes with the precision of someone who couldn't afford a single mistake. Her smile was soft but practiced, her movements cautious, because every step she took came with a sharp, hidden pain. She limped slightly, trying to hide it behind the rhythm of her work, but the strain was visible in her eyes. Most customers didn't notice. Those who did simply looked away, uninterested or uncomfortable. But Clara didn't expect sympathy. She had long stopped hoping for it. Her only goal was to make it through each shift, save enough money to pay for her therapy, and maybe one day walk without that limp again. If you believe in kindness, compassion, and second chances, please don't forget to like this video, share it with others, and subscribe to the channel, because what happens next will remind you that humanity still exists in the most unexpected places. Clara had started working at Rosie's Diner 3 months earlier after a car accident left her leg fractured in 2 places. The medical bills had drained her small savings, and her dream of finishing nursing school had slipped out of reach. The diner job was all she could find: long hours, low pay, and constant pain. But she took it anyway. Every morning she tied her apron over her uniform, fixed her hair, and forced herself to smile as if her world wasn't quietly collapsing. That morning seemed no different from any other, until a deep rumble echoed across the parking lot. A dozen motorcycles pulled up in front of the diner, engines growling like thunder. The glass windows rattled as the group of bikers dismounted. They were big, rough-looking men covered in leather vests and tattoos, the kind of people most customers would avoid. Even the cook, Old Joe, peeked nervously through the kitchen door and muttered something about trouble. Clara's heart raced, not out of fear but from anxiety. The last thing she needed was a rowdy group disrupting the morning rush. She adjusted her apron, steadied her crutches, and limped toward the door to greet them. Her smile was warm but strained. When the bikers walked in, the diner seemed to fall silent. Conversations stopped. Coffee cups froze midway to lips. The leader of the group, a tall, broad-shouldered man with graying hair, a rugged face, and tattoos creeping up his neck, took off his sunglasses and looked around. His name, as stitched on his vest, was Reed. He gave Clara a nod, a quiet acknowledgement that carried unexpected gentleness. "Welcome to Rosie's," Clara said softly. "Take any seat you like." They sat together at the far end of the diner, laughter low but friendly, not rowdy as everyone had expected. Clara brought their coffee, her limp more visible now as she struggled to balance the heavy tray. Reed's eyes followed her quietly, not in judgment, but concern. When she set the coffee down, her hand trembled slightly and one cup nearly tipped over. She caught it just in time, wincing as pain shot through her leg. "You okay there, ma'am?" Reed asked in a deep, gravelly voice. Clara forced a smile. "I'm fine. Just clumsy, I guess." But Reed didn't look convinced. He noticed the faint scar peeking from under her uniform near her knee, and the way she tried to hide her discomfort with a polite grin. As she walked away, he whispered something to one of his men. They watched her for a while, not out of curiosity, but out of quiet sympathy. Over the next hour, the bikers ordered breakfast, chatted softly, and treated Clara with unusual respect. When another table of local teens started whispering and laughing at her limp, Reed shot them a cold stare that silenced them instantly. The whole diner could feel the shift. These men, who looked like trouble, were standing up for the girl everyone had overlooked. When it came time to pay the bill, Clara brought the check over, thanking them for coming. Reed looked at the total, then slid a $100 bill across the table. "Keep the change," he said. Clara blinked. "Sir, that's way too much." But Reed cut her off with a quiet smile. "Consider it a tip for someone working harder than most folks ever will." She felt her throat tighten. "Thank you, really." The bikers left soon after, engines roaring back to life, leaving behind a stunned silence and a waitress wiping tears she couldn't explain. That night, after closing up, Clara hobbled to her small apartment above the laundromat down the street. Her leg ached more than usual, but her heart felt strangely light. That kind gesture had reminded her that not everyone saw her as broken. Days passed, and she thought that would be the end of it. But one morning, when she arrived at the diner, something unexpected happened. A row of motorcycles was already parked outside. The same group of bikers stood there waiting. Clara's eyes widened. Reed stepped forward, holding a large envelope. "Morning, Clara," he said. "Hope you don't mind us dropping by again." She stammered, "Of course not, but what's this?" He handed her the envelope gently. "We stopped by your apartment yesterday. Landlord told us you've been behind on rent and still saving up for surgery. We don't mean to pry, just thought maybe we could help." Clara froze. Her hands trembled as she opened the envelope. Inside was a stack of bills, hundreds of dollars, maybe more. I can't take this," she whispered, tears filling her eyes. "You're not taking it," Reed said softly. "You earned it. You get up every day and keep going. That's tougher than most of us ever had to be." The diner fell silent again. Other customers watched as Clara covered her mouth, sobbing quietly. For months, she'd carried her pain alone. And now, strangers, men the town had judged by their leather and ink, were showing her more kindness than anyone else ever had. That day changed everything. Reed and his biker club, known as the Iron Widows, started visiting the diner regularly. They'd eat breakfast, tip generously, and sometimes even help around the parking lot when her car broke down. When Clara needed a ride to physical therapy, one of them would show up with a smile and a helmet ready. Word spread fast around Ridgeview. The same townspeople who once whispered judgments now spoke of the bikers with admiration. Clara's limp slowly improved. The therapy, now fully paid for thanks to their help, began showing results. Each step became easier, each morning brighter. The day she finally took a few steps without crutches, Reed was sitting at the counter, sipping coffee. When she walked toward him unassisted, he smiled wide. "Looks like you're getting your wings back," he said with a proud grin. Clara laughed through her tears. "Because of you." He shook his head. "Because of you, we just helped push the wind behind you." Months later, when Clara's leg healed enough for her to return to nursing school, the entire biker crew came to her farewell party at the diner. They filled the place with laughter and music, surprising her with a brand new pair of walking shoes signed by every member. Before leaving, Reed handed her a small silver necklace shaped like a motorcycle wheel. "So you remember, never stop moving forward." She hugged him tightly, her voice breaking. "I'll never forget what you did for me." The next year, when Clara graduated as a nurse, she invited them all to the ceremony. The sight of leather-clad bikers clapping proudly in the front row turned heads and melted hearts. Ridgeview's toughest men stood up and cheered for the girl who'd once limped her way through pain and fear. And though life took Clara to a new city eventually, she stayed in touch with them. Every birthday, she received a small card from the Iron Widows signed simply, "Ride strong, Clara." If this story has touched your heart and reminded you that goodness still exists, please like this video, share it with others, and subscribe to keep more stories of hope and humanity alive. Before you go, I'd love to hear from you. Comment below. What's the kindest thing a stranger has ever done for you? Because sometimes it's not the people who look perfect that make the biggest difference. It's the ones who've been through pain, loss, and hardship, yet still choose to be kind. And in the small diner on the edge of Ridgeview, a once limping waitress and a band of bikers proved that compassion can come from the most unexpected hearts. And that real strength isn't in how hard you look, but in how gently you care.